Very good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the current affairs analysis class. I hope you all are doing well. Can you please let me know, is the audio and video clear? Anyone? Please let me know about the audio and video so that I can proceed further. All right. So I'm assuming it's all good. Let's begin with the 18th September current affairs analysis. So this is for the 18th of September. In the first category, ESI business and finance news, the news which we have is regarding Razorpay. So Razorpay has launched. Razorpay, you all know, is an important fintech player, right? So it has launched a no-code data integration platform named as DataSync. Now, this is important. Why is it important? Because DataSync is going to transform the way industries and businesses are utilizing financial data, and it is expected basically to reduce the cost, which otherwise might have been 50% higher. So it is going to reduce the cost by 50% as well. So Razorpay has launched a DataSync. This is what? This is a no-code data integration platform. No-code data integration platform. What do we mean by that? That without any technicalities, much of technicalities, use of APIs and all, you will be able to integrate financial data onto this platform and access it, right? So as you can see, the aim as well to provide the real-time data access, then allow businesses to enhance their business intelligence by improving financial reporting. So you need not have so much of technology to integrate all such financial data, fraud related information and all, security monitoring, right? All this will be easily available now on this platform and can be easily integrated and utilized as well. So remember, DataSync, Razorpay has launched this, and it is, as I told you, it is expected to reduce the operational costs for businesses up to 50%. This is huge percentage. Why is it expected to reduce the cost of businesses up to 50%? Because now when you have this platform to enter data, to integrate data, manual reporting required will be lesser. So when you have lesser requirement of manual reporting, the cost, operational cost, it includes the cost related to manual reporting, etc., etc. So that will be reduced. I hope you have understood this news. So remember, DataSync launched by Razorpay. Moving on to the next news which we have is again BNP Paribas. Okay, so S is silent here. This is how you pronounce it. BNP has been in news very frequently. You know, BNP Paribas is a French multinational bank. So S is silent. This is how we pronounce it, BNP Paribas. Okay, so BNP Paribas की जो Indian branch है, it has inaugurated a new dormitory facility for the female residents of Aadhaar NGO. This is in the CSR initiative. In line with the CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative, this has introduced new dormitory facility for female residents. Now, female residents of what? Aadhaar NGO. Aadhaar NGO. This Aadhaar NGO, you know, is working for betterment and better care of children who are intellectually disabled or intellectually disabled adults. So this is working for them. Now for those female residents who are there under the Aadhaar NGO, this has launched a dormitory facility. Remember this. Now it is going to house over 55 women residents and nearly 18 staff members. Okay, 55 women residents and nearly 18 staff members. So just remember that this is in line with its CSR initiative, the corporate social responsibility, and by now we have discussed this, I think 2-3 times. So you must be remembering the CSR provisions, right? So under section 135 of the Companies Act, you have to do this thing and you have to deploy at least how much percent? 2%, at least 2% of your average net profits of preceding 3 years for the CSR. This is a mandatory work which you have to do. Now, mandatory for those who are eligible under the set criteria, right? Next news. Okay, this is regarding windfall tax. Again, an important concept. Windfall tax on the crude oil cut to zero. So, the government has scrapped the windfall tax on domestically produced crude oil, not the foreign one or the imported one. This is domestically produced crude oil with effect from September 18. So, windfall tax has been reduced. You need to understand the concept of windfall tax. Windfall tax, what happens is sometimes there are substantial gains to businesses, industries, that is not a normal, due to not normal business operations or operational conduct. So, due to any unprecedented event, say like a pandemic happens, and then when there is shortage of, there is lack of supply of something, some commodity, in that case suddenly the price surge is there, and some companies and industries like sanitizers and masks, they got benefited out of it, right? So, sometimes you reap unnatural profits, and that is not sometimes via fair means. So, windfall tax are levied on those industries, those profits, to redistribute it. How you redistribute? So, this is the idea of taxation. Why do we impose taxes? The idea of progressive taxation, as we call it, is to redistribute the money. Now, redistribution does not mean you take the money and then give to someone else. No, redistribution means that that would be utilized for the benefit of betterment of the lower strata of the society, right? So, that is the concept of windfall tax. As you can see here, it is imposed on the businesses that are thought to have made excessively high profits, typically due to unusually favorable market conditions. Market conditions sometimes might favor you in an unusual manner. Okay, it is, so windfall taxes by government, they are revised every 15 days, okay, based on the average oil prices in 2 weeks. So, regarding crude oil, if you see, every 15 days. Why? Because crude oil is something, it changes very quickly. Depending on the demand and supply, the prices, they fluctuate quickly. So, every 15 days it is levied, and it is charged as a special additional excise duty, special additional excise duty, the domestically produced crude oil. Now, excise duty, I hope you all must be knowing, excise duty is levied on the production of a goods or service, right? So, additional excise duty when you produce the crude oil within your domestic territory. This windfall tax, however, has been scrapped as of now. So, earlier it was there. If it gets revised, that would be there in the news. So, now it will be 0. I hope this is clear, everyone. Windfall tax on the crude oil cut to 0. And what is the windfall tax? Next you have is, this is very interesting news. Swiggy launches project Next. So, Swiggy has launched a program named as Project Next by providing, what does it aim to do with this? It wants to provide career opportunities. What kind of career opportunities? So, this is for the staff and the employees only, this will be there. If you want to scale vertically, say you earlier were doing some delivery job, right, food delivery or any Instamart delivery like that, but now you want to gain some skills and then you want to shift from blue collar to white collar jobs, for example, right? I have told you the difference between blue collar and white collar jobs in the earlier classes. I hope you remember that. The blue collar jobs, they are typically non-desk based jobs like these workers are, right? And the white collar, they are specialized professional services providing you like consultancy services and all. So, if they want to move vertically on that, they want to become a part of the white collar job industry, Swiggy is only going to provide you that opportunity. So, within the company you can grow, skills and training will be provided. So, it is a part of a larger initiative, Swiggy Skills, which was announced by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So, it is in line with the Skill India program and all these initiatives of the Government of India. It will offer skilling, training, internship, employment opportunities in its value chain only. So, via your own company, you can make your own growth. So, this is Project Next of Swiggy for a skill enhancement. Then next news which you have is JBM Ecolife Mobility, JBM Ecolife Mobility, which is a subsidiary of JBM Auto Limited. It has secured $100 million in funding from Asian Development Bank and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Not so important, just remember that which multilateral development banks have provided financing to JBM Ecolife Mobility. Just remember this name. Right? So, $100 million funding from Asian Development Bank and Asian Infrastructure Bank. You know JBM Ecolife Mobility works in EVs and all as well. Next news which we have. Now this is important. This is something you need to remember actually. We need to discuss. So EPFO allows early pre-withdrawal of rupees 1 lakh. EPFO has allowed early withdrawals of rupees 1 lakh. EPFO, as you all know, Employees Provident Fund Organization, has increased withdrawal limit from the current 50,000 to 1 lakh. Now what is this news and what is EPFO? You must be knowing. EPFO is a statutory body, right? EPFO, if you see, is a statutory body. It works towards Employees Provident Fund, right? So it maintains and works towards the Employees Provident Fund. Provident Fund, as you all know, is a mandatory scheme with a criteria. If you are under that criteria, you have to do that, right? Now, Provident Fund may you have a mandatory contribution from both the sides, the employer as well as the employee. So there are certain eligibility criteria over there. They contribute and then you can utilize that fund. You can sometimes withdraw out of it for meeting any huge expenses like medical emergencies. So medical emergencies, then you know, weddings in India are really fat. You have very fat wedding, right? And the recent example, you all know what am I referring to, is something which has crossed all these standards, right? So weddings ke liye you can withdraw. So earlier, withdrawing from this EPFO fund was only 50,000, but now it has been increased to 1 lakh. Now government has decided this to provide the employees with much flexibility and manage their sudden expenses and huge expenses like this. I hope this news is clear, right? So that's how the context is. Just remember the amount as well, 50,000 to 1 lakh. It has been increased. Also, the condition, earlier you had to wait 6 months after joining a job, 6 months after joining a job to withdraw this. But now earlier 6 months only you can withdraw this. So the government has relaxed the condition which will allow a person to withdraw in first 6 months only of their new job. You don't have to wait for the end of first 6 months. Is this clear? Okay. Also, just remember, whenever it comes in the news, the government is considering revision of the upper limit of eligibility or wage ceiling, both for EPFO as well as for ESIC. It has not been implemented so far, but they are considering it to do that. So just remember that at present, formal sector workers with a monthly, what is the criteria? Formal sector worker you have to be a formal sector worker. That's why we talk about formalization of the economy, because you get these benefits. So at present, formal sector workers with a monthly salary of rupees 50,000 and working in a company with over 20 employees, they are eligible for EPFO. Government is considering to increase it from 50,000 to 21,000. Remember. Okay. Also, for ESIC, they want to increase it to 21,000. They have not done this yet, but they are planning to increase this wage limit. Just remember this. So, whenever you see this thing in news, just add into your notes or we will provide you otherwise. So, this was the news. Then next you have is again Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited, IREDA, has received approval to raise approximately 4,500 crores through fresh equity issue. This is important. So IREDA, you know, is working very proactively in sustainable energy and renewable energy solutions in development. Government has allowed, or SEBI basically, SEBI has allowed IREDA to raise approximately 4,500 crores through fresh equity shares. So after the approval from Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, it is there. So it has been approved by Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. But remember here, it is not going to raise this through IPOs and all, right? So this is fresh equity share through qualified institutions placement. Qualified institutions placement. You know, there is this terminology. You have qualified institution investors, you have qualified institutional buyers, right? So who are these? Or you have qualified institutions. Who are these? These are experts in this field. That can be a bank, that can be an other financial entity as prescribed or allowed by the SEBI. These qualified institutional or qualified institutions, they have a lot of financial pool or resources. Via them, if you raise these funds, it is very effective in comparison to IPO and all, right? So in comparison to IPO, that is more effective because they have expertise in the field as well. So this will be through private placement via qualified institutions. So these institutions will be participating. You can raise this fund 4,500 crores from qualified institutions. Also, then of course the result will be, because it is fresh equity issue, so additional dilution of government's stake will be there, of course. So it will be a planned dilution of the Government of India's shareholding in IREDA. So this is going to result government's holding to decline up to 7%. So there will be a dilution of up to 7% in government's stake or shareholding in IREDA post issue basis, right? So just remember what will be the route. So the route will be qualified institutions placement. Via qualified institutions, it will be done, and it will result into dilution of the government shareholding in IREDA up to 7%. Remember this, up to 7%. This is a good step, you know, because it becomes more effective to go through the qualified institution placement channel. Next news which you have is banking news here. So you have co-branded credit card again in the news. Paisabazaar has partnered with Yes Bank. So they have partnered for this. Partnered for what? The launch of co-branded credit card. It is co-branded credit card. So these two brands are there, Paisabazaar and Yes Bank. What is the name of the card? Yes Bank Paisabazaar Paisa Save credit card. This is going to be there, and it will be rewarding frequent shoppers who do frequent shopping with cashbacks on everyday purchase, online, even offline as well, right? So when you purchase something online or offline, you will be provided with cashbacks and rewards. So that's how it is going to be attractive. If you want to see the features, up to 3% cashback will be there. There is no joining fees. But there will be annual fees of rupees 499. Then who are the eligible persons? Between 21 to 60 years of age. That can be a salaried or self-employed person as well for eligibility. And the salary criteria you require for this, minimum net salary of rupee 25,000 per month. At least this much you should have to avail this card. These features, just not all of them are important, just try to remember it is co-branded by Paisabazaar and Yes Bank, and just important features in the net salary. Next news in the series which you have is SBI raises rupees 7,500 crores through issuance of Basel III compliant bonds. I hope you all know what are Basel norms. Yes or no? Anyone? So Basel norms, they have been given by your Basel committee, which is based on in Switzerland. So Basel Committee on Banking Supervision has given these Basel norms. Basel 1, 2, 3 you have. Basel norms basically specify the minimum capital adequacy ratio and all other criteria for the banking system, right? And then they are subsequently implemented by the central banks of the respective countries. So this is to ensure that the banking system in all the countries, they have minimum liquidity requirement met, also minimum capital adequacy requirement met. So to avoid or to stand by any unforeseen crisis or situation. I hope you have read about the Basel norms. We have done this thing in the finance class as well. Now you have Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3, right? You have 9% of capital adequacy ratio, and this is also different depending on the organization, right? Whether it is scheduled commercial bank or it is urban cooperative bank, what kind of bank it is. So these are, we are not going into Basel discussion, it is going to be lengthy. You can read it through the finance classes or PDF. What we are going to discuss here is, as you know, in the Basel, you have tier 1 and tier 2 capital, right? And there are different components. So you need to maintain capital adequacy. A minimum capital requirement is there, which we call as CRAR or CAR, okay, capital adequacy ratio, which has your tier 1 plus tier 2 capital. There are different components under tier 1 capital and different components under tier 2 capital, divided by your total risk weighted assets. Risk weighted assets, whatever risk weighted loans are there, assets basically primarily loans and other assets, whatever risks weight they have been assigned to them in accordance with that. So what is the concept of CRAR? In relation to your total risk weighted assets, how much capital do you have? So there is any chance of NPA, say a huge default happens, you should have sufficient capital to stand by it. Are you getting my point? This is the main idea of maintaining capital adequacy or having a capital adequacy ratio kind of concept. Now, so if you know the overall CRAR, not talking about any entity specific requirement, 9%, so that would be 4.5 in tier 1 and 4.5 in tier 2. Just don't go into this. Just remember that you have tier 1 capital and tier 2 capital. There are different components. Now in tier 2 capital, you have certain bonds which are subordinated debt, which is subordinated debt. What is this subordinated debt or subordinated bonds? So subordinated debt, you must be knowing that these are placed in lower level, so they are junior to the other debt. That means whenever say liquidation happens, so these will be paid after that, right? So these bonds are there. You can raise money through these bonds when you have to offset say any loss. So Basel has provided for provision of these kind of loans. They are particularly issued as a debt instrument. They are particularly issued as a debt instrument by these banks to offset any loss or raise some emergency funds and all. So SBI has also used it. Now I have explained this thing. I hope you have understood. So these are the bonds, tier 2 bonds, what we call as Basel III compliant tier 2 bonds, which are required as per Basel III norms. So these are subordinated debt instruments. Via this, SBI has raised 7,500 crores through issuance. Now their tenure is 15 years and the coupon rate is 7.33. They are issued with a coupon rate of 7.33% and the tenure is 15 years, remember. And this is not the first one. This is the second Basel III compliant tier 2 bond issue in the current ongoing fiscal. So just remember, this is important. Next we have is national and state news. So in the national and state news categories, national news mein Union Labour Minister Mansukh Mandavia has set 3-month target to do what? To deploy all the aggregators, your gig workers, your platform workers on a single platform, which is eShram portal. eShram portal. You all must be knowing about the eShram portal. eShram portal basically combines all these. This is for gig workers particularly. They want to formalize the economy to provide social security benefits to your contractual workers, gig workers via this portal, eShram portal, right? So the minister has a plan to make all these workers on board with eShram portal within 3 months. Now, reason of course is to ensure that these gig workers and the platform workers, they gain access to social security schemes. What are the social security schemes? You have insurance benefits, you have provident fund benefits, etc., etc. eShram portal, you can read about this under Ministry of Labour and Employment to create a national database for unorganized workers, which will be seeded with Aadhaar, and there is no validity period as such. This is to formalize the economy. And who are the gig workers? You should know that gig workers are these contractual workers, right? Contractual workers. Freelancers, there's a wide range of examples you can have for gig workers, freelancers as well. This was the news. I hope this is clear. Moving on to the next one. This is again very important regarding government's decision to have nutrient. Acha, this one is not that one. So this is regarding restored. The government has restored wheat allocation of 35 lakh tons of wheat to beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. First of all, to understand this news, you understand what is this Yojana. I hope you know already, but still, it was launched in April 2020. What was the aim? As the name suggests, to offer relief to those people who are adversely affected by the corona pandemic particularly, okay, especially the poor and marginalized. So, aiding those people, providing them with food security. Now, food security, whenever you read this concept, be very cautious. Food security is not only providing access to food, it is also providing you good quality of food with sufficient nutrition. So, accessibility, affordability of food, which is set out in the National Food Security Act as well. So, this is in line with this act to provide food security to the poorest and the marginalized sections which have got affected due to pandemic. Now, under the scheme, they aim to distribute 5 kgs of free food grain each month. Just remember, they want to distribute 5 kgs of free food grains each month, 5 kgs. Now, it will be distributed like this. Okay. So, this is the thing, and that for that thing, the wheat allocation has been given out 35 lakh for this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. You must be knowing about the National Food Security Act as well. This provides, it is a legal right to have, okay, food grains at subsidized price under the targeted public distribution system. And you must be knowing the rates as well. Rice at rupees 3 per kg, wheat at rupees 2 per kg, and coarse grains at rupees 1 per kg. According to the act, legally you are entitled up to 75% of the rural population and 50% of the urban population is legally entitled to receive subsidized food grains. So, this is a legal right, remember, not a constitutional one, but a legal one, right? 75% of rural population and 50% of the urban population. Just remember this. So, this is the news, 35 lakh tons of wheat has been allocated. Now, you have this Waayu in news. You have Waayu. What is Waayu? Waayu is an app. It is going to be an important, competitor to your present delivery giants. So, it is going to be zero commission food delivery app. It is going to compete with your food giants like Zomato, Swiggy, etc., etc. Zero commission food delivery app it is. Zero commission. So, let's see how does it operates. I expect that since it is zero commission food delivery app, the charges, the delivery surcharges and all will not be there. So let's see. It has joined the open network for digital commerce as a seller marketplace. Let's see how does it operate. But for the time being, the news is that it has joined the marketplace, and it is also in news, also gaining so much of air due to brand ambassador being Sunil Shetty, famous Bollywood celebrity, right? Sunil Shetty. So it is backed by Indian actor Sunil Shetty. Is also the brand ambassador, also the investor into it, and that's why this is important. It is Mumbai based, and it will be covering a lot of famous eateries which are there in the Mumbai as well. Okay, and this, if you see, open network for digital commerce has been launched in 2021. It was established by Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and initial investors were Quality Council of India and these Protein E-Government Technologies Limited, etc. Just remember, Waayu is what? It is going to be a food delivery app. Now this section is complete, and you have lot of cabinet approvals over here. You have lot of cabinet approvals. We need to discuss these cabinet approvals. So let's see. A lot of cabinet approvals are there for the 18th September. First cabinet approval which you have is establishment of the National Center of Excellence for AVGC-XR. That is going to be National Center of Excellence for Animation, Visual Effects, Gaming, Comics and Extended Reality. So these are going to have a proper National Center of Excellence. It is approved by Prime Minister, and it will be established as a Section 8 company under the Companies Act in India with your FICCI and CII. Okay, with FICCI and CII. It will be set up in Mumbai. So this is going to be a company set up in Mumbai. It is going to work. What is the purpose of establishing this? So first of all, I hope you have understood this news. This is a collaboration to innovate further in these fields. These are the future. You all know that, right? So this is a collaborative effort. Sorry. Collaborative effort from the government, academia as well as industry. So this is multi-stakeholder collaboration. It will be established in Mumbai. It will be doing research and development as well in innovative field, in all these fields, visual effects, animation, etc. It will serve as academic accelerator or industry accelerator. Now what does that mean? That several initiatives, R&D, innovations will be held. Since it is in partnership with industry experts as well as the academia, it is going to provide you or expand your capabilities with the help of such kind of innovations. So it is going to accelerate the performance of people, of students, of workers associated with industries and academia. This is what the approval is. Remember, it is going to be a Section 8 company established at Mumbai, Maharashtra. I hope this is clear, right? Next cabinet approval which you have here is regarding nutrient-based subsidy for Rabi season 2024. So you see, this is good decision that the Union Cabinet has approved fixing the nutrient-based rates for Rabi season. Rabi season, you all must be knowing, Rabi crops, they are sown in the winter. So Rabi season is going to be there from 1st October to say 31st March. It is going to come very close we are. So in the Rabi season, you have the production of these crops like peas, like wheat, gram, etc. These are particularly sowed in the winter season and then they are harvested in the spring, right? So for this Rabi season and Rabi crops, they want to announce nutrient-based subsidy. What is this nutrient-based subsidy? Basically, is decided upon the nutrient, say, which are there in the crops, not on the basis of volume by which it is sold. So this is going to make a difference, right? Now, you know, subsidies, they actually decide in agriculture, if you see, they actually decide which crops are going to be promoted. If there are subsidies announced by the government onto some fertilizers which are used in some particular crops, the farmer might be incentivized to produce that crop. Now, if it is going to be nutrient based, that is going to be scientific, isn't it? So this is a good decision. And remember, this is for Rabi season on what? On phosphatic and potassic based fertilizers, right? So this is P and K fertilizers. P and K fertilizers ke liye it is going to be. So it is going to be there for P and K fertilizers. Also, it is an international practice to announce this nutrient-based subsidy. So we want to align ourselves, our policies, with that of the international practices. So this is going to be in line with the international practices being followed as well. Okay. Now, what will be the benefit if you see? It will be more affordable now. It will be more available as well, because availability would improve. So affordability and availability, they will simultaneously improve. So to ensure smooth availability of these fertilizers to farmers at affordable prices, for this upcoming Rabi season, these fertilizers which are utilized in the crop fields, this will be available at affordable prices, as well as it will be easily available then. So remember, nutrient based fertilizer for P and K fertilizers. The next cabinet approval you have is for Chandrayaan 4, right? So cabinet has approved Chandrayaan 4, a mission to moon. You know that the series is going. We had Chandrayaan 1, we had Chandrayaan 2, we had Chandrayaan 3, and Chandrayaan 1, which we had, was launched by PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Chandrayaan 2, which was carried on by GSLV Mk2, and the Chandrayaan 3 was carried by GSLV Mk3. Or now first remember, your GSLV Mark 3 has been replaced and renamed as LVM3. Okay, so now you have launch vehicle Mark 3 in place of GSLV Mk3. This is the heavy lift vehicle of ISRO now in place of GSLV Mk3. Remember, LVM3. So now it will be carried out. This will be launched with the help of the launch vehicle LVM3. Of course, it is to develop and demonstrate the technologies to come back to Earth after successfully landing on the moon. So the focus is also coming back efficiently, right? And collect moon samples, analyze the samples on the Earth. So collecting the moon samples, then also demonstrating the technologies, how to come back to Earth after you successfully land on the moon. All these things will be targeted here. Now, it is going to be there by 2040. So the plan is there to complete this project by 2040. ISRO, of course, will be responsible for its development, and this is the chronology of Chandrayaan mission. You can refer to it, although I have explained you, but just remember these facts, right? Chandrayaan 1, when it was launched, and the achievement was, that is, it discovered traces of water on the moon. If you see the status, it was successful. Then Chandrayaan 2, you know, was a partial success only. And if you see Chandrayaan 3, it was also successful. It landed on the south pole of the moon, and for which, this is important, we named them as station Shiv Shakti or Shiv Shakti point, where the Chandrayaan 3 has landed, was renamed as, or it was named as, Shiv Shakti point. Remember, Shiv Shakti point. And of course, it was also successful. And that's how you see the government also announced August 23 as National Space Day, on which it landed on the South Pole. So next news which you have, this was regarding Chandrayaan 4, and remember the launch vehicle, it will be LVM3 as I told you. Now next approval is again regarding ISRO or space technology. So next approval is for Venus orbiter mission. So like you had the MOM, Mars orbiter mission, they are going to have a Venus orbiter mission now. They are going to have a Venus orbiter mission. What will be the aim? To better understand the Venetian surface and atmosphere, right? Collect the information over there, and it will be accomplished by Department of Space. The expected accomplishment of this mission is by 2028. 2028. So like you had the Mars orbiter mission, now you have the Venus orbiter mission to understand the Venus surface and atmosphere, as well as the influence of Sun on the Venetian atmosphere, etc. So you had the Mars orbiter mission as well, because now these missions have got cabinet approvals. So the static one also becomes important. Mars orbiter mission, also called as the Mangalyaan, 2013 it was launched, 5 November, and landed in 2014. What was the achievement of this mission? That it was India was the first Asian nation to reach to the Martian orbit. Also second national space agency in the world to do so after European Space Agency. So ISRO became the second space agency to do that after the ESA or European Space Agency, and India in Asia became the first nation to go to the Martian surface or orbit. This was the next news. Now moving ahead, again related to space, this is again important. So Union Cabinet has also approved the development of next generation launch vehicle. Although Cabinet has approved it recently, but it is not something which is coming suddenly, right? It has been in news for a quite long period of time. Your NGLV, next generation launch vehicle. What is this next generation launch vehicle? So it will be a reusable launch vehicle, you see, reusable low cost launch vehicle. Okay, it will help the government fulfill its vision of establishing and operating the Bharatiya Antariksh Station. You all must be knowing that the government has a vision of establishing India as a space station orbiting around the earth, somewhere I think above the earth, if you see, around 440 kilometers or what. So Bharatiya Antariksha Station they want to establish. Now this launch vehicle will be aiding government in this mission. Why do we want to establish Bharatiya Antariksha Station, or which is Indian Space Station? You know what is the importance of space station? It will be carrying out different kind of researches for space technology, right? So this is going to be there, and total funding for this is this much crores, and then you have scope, technological development, and 3 development flights will be there. It will be scheduled for 96 months. There are certain features, if you want to remember, just go through them. So what are the features of this, or what will be features of this next generation launch vehicle? In the lower Earth orbit, if you see, the maximum payload capacity of 30 ton will be there with it. So if you want to launch any satellite in the, or any satellite into the lower Earth orbit, that would have payload capacity or capability of 30 ton. It will be 30 ton tak ki you can launch. Then in the GTO, which is geosynchronous transfer orbit, GTO is basically a transfer orbit. It is elliptical kind of orbit. Transfer orbit, as the name suggests, it is used to launch the or transfer the satellites from lower Earth orbit to higher orbits, or the geostationary or synchronous orbits, right? Higher Earth orbits. So this is used to transfer the satellites. And in GTO, if you want to place, it will be a 3-stage vehicle with liquid, oxygen, methane, and cryo propulsion. Cryo technology, I hope you all understand. Okay, so at which temperature do we call or do we utilize the cryo technology? It is also utilized in medical, pharmaceuticals, a lot of applications. Cryogenic engine you have in these three stages: vehicle, launch vehicles. What is cryogenic technology? Tell me. So these are at very low temperatures. What is the temperature, I want to ask you? Yes, anyone? Cryogenic. So basically below 150 degrees Celsius. Below 150 degree Celsius, right? So this is in the news. These are just features, and remember the importance. It is going to assist government in establishing its space station or Bharat Antariksh station. I hope this is useful. Then you have another. Okay, so this is the explanation of Bharat Antariksh station. As I told you that the government has approved the building of first module of the India's space station. It is going to be there as India's space station. And we aim to operationalize our own space station by 2035. By 2035. Also remember, to achieve this goal of India's own space station by 2035, ISRO will take a number of missions in the series, which are broadly 4 missions, which under the ongoing Gaganyaan program by 2026. So you all know that there is Gaganyaan program as well. So under Gaganyaan program, the ISRO will be conducting 4 missions for completion of Bharatiya Antariksh Station 1. 4 such missions will be deployed first. And for that, the total funding of the Gaganyaan mission will be revised to have additional funding, particularly for carrying out these missions under Gaganyaan for the Indian Space Center. Okay, I hope this is clear, everyone. Again, very, very important, which was having a lot of deliberations over India. This approval is going to change the political fabric or democratic fabric of India. Very, very important news. So, Union Cabinet has accepted the recommendations of a high-level committee on simultaneous elections. Just remember, first important fact, who chaired this committee? Former President, Honorable Shri Ramnath Kovind. Okay, former President Shri Ramnath Kovind chaired this, and it was a high-level committee which gave recommendations on the idea of simultaneous elections. These are certain areas which you can expect questions in the examination. This is really going to be very important and transformative for India. Now, what were the recommendations? Okay, so let's see the recommendations first, right? For simultaneous elections, the recommendations and the way forward as recommended by the committee that implement this decision in 2 phases. Okay, in first phase, simultaneous elections, conduct them in 2 phases. First phase में you conduct the Lok Sabha and Assembly elections simultaneously. So what is the idea? That is one nation, one election, basically, broadly. So you had the GST, one nation, one market, one tax. What happens in India prior to understand this? Election is a very time-taking, very costly procedure, right? Although elections are necessary, they are the essence of the democratic setup, but still it requires, when you have elections of your parliament or Lok Sabha elections you have, then you have assembly elections at different times, at different locations, The Election Commission of India, it takes a lot of funds to manage all these things, and then time as well. Now conducting them with simultaneously is to save a lot of fund of the government. So it will reduce the burden on the government coffers, is to save lot of precious times of the officials which are deployed. Also, there are teachers and government other officials apart from those one who are in the election commission or the state election commission. You know that the government employees, they participate in this, right? So their time will be saved. These are certain ideas behind simultaneous elections. So now there is this approval from the cabinet, and the committee has suggested conduct them into two phases. In the first phase, you conduct the assembly elections, state assembly elections and the Lok Sabha elections simultaneously. In the second phase, what you do? Second phase, conduct the local body elections, panchayat and the municipalities within 100 days of general elections. So within 100 days of these elections, conduct the second phase. This is how it is going to save a lot of money, which is otherwise unnecessarily utilized in these things, as well as time, and make India's election process very clear, easy to understand, easy to comply with, also cost effective, saving the administrative time as well as cost. So remember this is going to be very important for you. Phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, Lok Sabha and Assembly elections simultaneously. Phase 2, within 100 days of phase 1, conduct the local body elections, which will include your Panchayati Raj and municipalities election. And there will be common electoral roll for all these elections, right? Electoral roll will be common for them. There will be discussions made in the country. It is not कि government ने decide कर दिया और दे दिया. There will be deliberations, and then after these discussions, the proper implementation will be done, for which they will constitute a proper implementation group. Now, note here, which is to be noted, is this first time India having a simultaneous election? No. So India also had elections held simultaneously between 1951 and 1967. Then also remember, the Law Commission in its 170th report, which is of 1999, has also recommended for one election to Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies in 5 years. Okay, so the Law Commission in its 170th report also recommended for one nation, one election. One nation, one election. And Parliamentary Committee has also suggested for this. So there are committees suggesting them. Okay, just remember, and also remember the 100 days wala timeline. Also remember the previous recommendations. So the present chairman as well as the chairman of the committee who recommended this at present, also all other previous committees which were there. Okay, is there any doubt? Any doubt so far? This is very important. Common electoral roll means, okay, so electoral roll, you know what is electoral roll? Ayush, what is electoral roll? First tell me that thing. Electoral roll, so for these separate elections, assembly elections and the Lok Sabha elections, separate voter list used to be maintained, right? Now a common voter list will be there. Simple. Understood? Next approval which you have in the series is approval for BioRide scheme. Approval for BioRide scheme. What is this? Let's see. So the Union Cabinet has approved the biotechnology. What is BioRide? So it is biotechnology. RIDE will stand for research, innovation, entrepreneurship, development. RIDE will stand for research, innovation, entrepreneurship and development. So as the name only suggests, biotechnology is the future, is the present as well as the future, right? So having research, innovation, entrepreneurial opportunities and then development opportunities in the biotechnology sector. You also see the central government approving the Bio E3 policy, right? So we want to integrate biotechnology to enhance India's capabilities and economy as well. So this is Bio, right? It combines two existing schemes with a new component. So it combines two existing schemes, remember them as well, which is biotechnology research and development and industrial entrepreneurship development. These are the old schemes. Now they are combined into one biomanufacturing and biofoundry new scheme. Okay. So via this scheme, government will be supporting research, innovation, entrepreneurship, development and financially and in other manner regarding biotechnology. This is going to be there. Let's see how it gets implemented further. Okay. You can see all these aims are there. Promote bio-entrepreneurship, advance innovation, facilitate industry, help the industry grow, also collaborate with the academia for researchers, right? Then encourage sustainable biomanufacturing, etc., etc. The department responsible will be Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, right? Now, one thing which you need to remember here is the overall aim. Why all these steps are being taken by the government? These steps are being taken by the government because India has an aim of what? India aims to increase its bioeconomy to 300 billion US dollars by 2030. This was also there when I discussed with you the Bio E3 scheme, right? Bio E3 mein we also highlighted that this is our target to have $300 billion of bioeconomy, 300 billion US dollars of bioeconomy by 2030. Just remember this figure. This is going to be important. Okay. All these policies, they are aiming this target only. This was another approval in the series. Now you have the other approval over here, which is approval for Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan. I hope you remember we have discussed this scheme in the budget, which we have taken the classes on the YouTube. I have taken the budget. You see, they have announced Pradhan Mantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan. Yes or no? You remember that? We have discussed this thing in the budget as well. All right. So let's see. The Union Cabinet has given approval for Pradhan Mantri Janjati Unnat Gram Abhiyan for improving the socio-economic condition of tribal communities. So Janjati, as you all know, the name is suggesting to improve the social economic condition of the tribal communities. Now, what is the means of doing that? By adopting the coverage of tribal families in tribal dominated villages and aspirational districts. So they are targeting or they will be adopting such villages for development which are dominated by tribal families. It is going to benefit more than 5 crore tribal people, and the total outlay, if you see, is 79,156 crores, in which central will be there and share and the state share will be there. So it is not central sector only, it is centrally sponsored, right? Then it will cover 549 districts and 2,740 blocks spread across all these tribal majority villages across 30 states, UTs, including UTs, right? So 549 districts, remember this figure, it is going to be important. 549 districts and 2740 blocks. 5 crore tribal people. 5 crore tribal people. These data are important. Okay, because you know, socio-economic development of these scheduled tribe is necessary to mainstream them. And then also, if not mainstreaming them does not mean we would want to enter into or we want to disrupt their own living methods and ways or traditional methods of living. No, just to aid them into their further development. So total you have 4 goals over here: enabling infrastructure for them, developing infrastructure, and then empowering them economically, universalization of access to good education so that they get access to good quality education as the others are getting, and then healthy lives and dignified aging. Simple, sorted aims, right? 7 ministries will be collaborating for this. Okay, 17 ministries. 17 ministries, not 7, 17 ministries. 17 ministries will be implementing this. Remember. So they will be targeting their own areas, like Ministry of Rural Development. They will be like building pakka houses. Okay, and connecting road. Ministry of Jal Shakti, you will have water supply under Jal Jeevan Mission. They will be providing. Ministry of Housing will be providing house electrification. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, off-grid solar and new solar power scheme to give supply energy to them, electricity to them, which is renewable. Health and Family Welfare will be establishing mobile medical units in these regions to help them be healthy and under the National Health Mission. Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas providing LPG connections. Then you have Ministry of Women and Child Development will be establishing Anganwadi centers and Poshan Abhiyan. So basically, nothing new is there. Whatever scheme so far you have seen across these different ministries, for all other people who are even not the beneficiaries, who are not a part of the scheduled tribe still, but they have not been able to reach the ST community. So better implementation of all these existing schemes only. Ministry of Ayush will be establishing Poshan Vatikas under National Ayush Mission. Then Department of Telecommunication will be providing universal service obligation. BharatNet mein it will be providing its services. Then you have Ministry of Skill and Development and Entrepreneurship. So under Skill India Mission, it will be doing its business, establishing skilling centers in these tribal districts. Okay, so skilling centers that would provide the present market skills to these tribals, and then that will help them develop economically, right? So empowering someone, if you want to really empower someone, cannot happen without the finances. Finances are important, money is important, right? So that's how you empower them. Then Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, digital initiatives जो भी applicable होगा उसके हिसाब से they will be doing this. Then you have Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare will be promoting sustainable agriculture in those regions, right? So sustainable agricultural practices will be extended to those districts and blocks. Then Department of Fisheries, fish culture support will be provided to almost these much of community and individual beneficiaries. Then Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, livestock rearing. So skilling and providing them opportunities for livestock rearing and expanding the reach of livestock rearing, providing them with better state-of-the-art technical know-how to almost 8,500 individuals in these tribal dominated districts and blocks. Then you have Ministry of Panchayati Raj for capacity building under Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Yojana, you see. So all Gram Sabhas and concerned offices at subdivision, district and state level will be dealing with them, will be empowered to then empower these tribal communities. So Ministry of Tourism, then you have tribal homestays, Swadesh Darshan. These kind of initiatives will be extended so that the tribal communities also get benefit. You have presently these models operating, right? So tribal communities will be getting help via tourism. Okay. So these are the, and of course Ministry of Tribal Affairs will be there. These were the These were the 17 ministries and their related work. You should remember in which areas they will be operating. Next thing, if you see, so again you have another approval. The cabinet has approved continuation of the scheme, which is Pradhan Mantri Annadata Ay Sanrakshan Abhiyan. What is the aim of this scheme? PM Asha, as you all know. PM Asha basically aims to provide remunerative prices to farmers, and to control price volatility of essential commodities for consumers. You see, essential commodities were also in news during the pandemic, if you remember. And then, you know, amendments were done into the Essential Commodities Act to prevent the misuse of the condition or the pandemic, which was being done by certain hoarders and producers and sellers, which resulted into price hike of a lot of commodities during the pandemic due to lack of supply to meet the existing demand. Now, this scheme basically wants to provide remunerative prices to farmers. So they aim to provide fair prices to farmers for their products. Also ensure that when you provide the fair prices to the farmer, the consumer also does not get affected. So establishing a balance between, right? Also providing consumers with a stable market price. That would help enhance the production of important crops like pulses, oilseeds, key horticulture crops, etc. Remember this thing. Next, what you have is again a skill training center called Airbus, Tata Strive Skill Training Center in Delhi and Bengaluru has been there. Now, it is going to be established in Delhi and Bengaluru. Remember the locations. Also remember that the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship has launched this. Also remember, it is a collaboration between Tata Strive and Airbus India Private Limited. So it is a collaboration between Tata Strive, Airbus India Private Limited. Tata Strive, Airbus India Private Limited. Now these training centers are going to be operated in Delhi and Bangalore. What is the aim? To provide a platform to all those students who want to make their careers in digital courses, right? Digital courses mein, those who want to make their career, they can utilize these facilities and gain valuable exposure in the training infrastructure that has been established. So digital courses will be provided to provide the students or the youth the opportunity to take part in the digitalization which is going on, and then this is going to help increase employment levels in India, right? So the issue with Indian education system, which we highlight, that the degrees, they are not market relevant enough, this issue is going to be resolved. Holding a degree does not ensure a job, that is going to be resolved via these kind of initiatives. Now, what is Tata Strive? So, Tata Group has established the Tata Community Initiative Trust in 2014 and Tata Strive. Okay, so they work towards all these things. Tata Strive is also an initiative under the community initiatives of Tata only. So there are a lot of news remaining still. Then we have international news, then we have mergers and these things. Okay, science and tech news reports. We have discussed this news, right? Let's discuss this one as well. So Bluecraft Digital Foundation has launched Viksit Bharat Fellowship Program. Who has launched it? Bluecraft Digital Foundation. Bluecraft Digital Foundation Viksit Bharat Fellowship Program to encourage and empower writing and creative talents across various domains. Now about Bluecraft, if you see, it is Bluecraft Associate Fellow. Okay, so not about the Bluecraft. Let's first see any fellowship who has joined this fellowship, any associate fellow will receive a monthly stipend of how much? So monthly stipend of rupees 75,000 is going to be there. Okay, a Bluecraft senior fellow will receive a monthly stipend of 1,25,000. These are really handsome amounts for a fellowship. And a Bluecraft distinguished fellow will receive a monthly stipend of 2 lakh during the fellowship period of 1 year. So this is the monthly stipend and it will be for 1 year. Viksit Bharat Fellowship it is going to be. This is a good amount, right? So it is going to be a very great initiative to provide, to raise the standard of living of the youth as well. So if you join this fellowship, you will gain expertise and knowledge and industry exposure, plus you will gain a lot of money over here. Then you know the Bluecraft is operating in digital technology domains and the public policy domains and all, right? So just remember, Bluecraft Digital Foundation is there, launched the Viksit Bharat Fellowship. I think if I continue, because for 18 September you really had a lot of cabinet approvals and news, so it is going to be a 2-hour class then, so that will not be possible for you to go through. So let's stop this discussion here and let's resume the remaining analysis in the next class, otherwise it is going to be lengthier, right? And it is going to be boring for you as well. So I will resume with this news. Blue card one we have discussed, so we will resume with the Sarthi chatbot. Okay, so this news, Piyush Goyal inaugurating AI machine learning for trademark search and IP Sarthi chatbot. We will resume from here. So far we have discussed all these news. I hope you have tried to understand all these things. You have been able to understand, particularly the space technologies approvals. Remember them, they are important, right? Also remember the EPFO news. It is a good step in further enhancing the social security net for the formal sector employees. So I hope this was useful. I will stop this class here. Remaining I will resume in the next session because it is going to be otherwise very long class. You had a lot of news on 18th September, right? Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next class. Till then, have a great day. Have a great day. Thank you so much.